Hey fam! Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hello Healing. I'm your host, Dr. Radisha Brown, but you know how we roll around here. I don't come solo. I got my crew in the building. We got Crescence Campbell in the house, and she is Crescence the psychotherapist on Instagram. Hey girl.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
All right, and then we have Shantoya Chapman, and she is Holistic Way Therapy on Instagram.
Hello.
All right, I'm so excited to talk about tonight's conversation because tonight we are bringing to the couch all of this drama between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you have seen all of text messages, the birthday party issues, the divorce saga that they have continued to undergo, and we had a little bit of debate bringing it to the show, but I wanted to bring this topic and this situation to the Hello Healing team because so many women, so many men are going through pretty bad breakups, and if you have children with your partner, it is a really difficult thing to just cut them off and live your life. You're right, so you're always connected to them. So I wanted to get the mental health perspective from our amazing dope therapist about this ongoing saga between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. So Shantoya, give us your thoughts on this situation.
Well, most of us been following, their romance and, how they became a couple.
Right.
And so, Kanye, in his defense, he's really had some trauma in his life. So we already know the things that he's been through, his younger years when he first, became, a rapper and became into the spotlight. Then he had the passing of his mom, was an unfortunate
Mhm.
situation. And I think with that, and I think he was involved in a shooting where he was injured, and I think that caused him to
Mhm.
create his album. I think the College Dropout and all that came about. This young man really, I don't know if he had the space or the platform to be able to process everything he's dealt with
Right.
and be able to normalize it in a way. Because unfortunately, as celebrities, they're in the spotlight 24
Right.
hours. So, like
Right.
us normal folks, we can't go and heal and do our work and have our supports there to help us. We don't have to worry about, cameras at our doorstep every time we make a move. So, I mean, in that spotlight, there's not a lot of, you know, security. There's not a lot of comfort. There's not a lot of privacy. So, in a way, I feel sorry for him. I really do. My heart goes out to him, and as a therapist, I do have empathy for him because money doesn't resolve issues.
Right.
They don't make them go away. And people think that, okay, if I get a certain amount of money, my life is going to be better. Well, it can be better materialistic, but his no matter the amount of money he has, it would never bring his mother back,
Right.
and he had such a close bond with his mother. So yeah, my heart goes out to him. Yeah, he's irrational from what I can see. I don't know him personally, but what I've seen and what the public and the media portray him, because we got to be careful with that too.
Right.
Because the media will try to hype things up and make it bigger than what it is. And so, but I think he's just a man just misunderstood and really he need a brotherhood. I feel like he's missing.
Right, right. And you said something really important is trauma and how trauma affects us, right? And so we cannot insulate our traumatic experiences from our relationships and
Mhm.
because we take ourselves with us. And so I too believe that trauma has really impacted his life and he hasn't, in my opinion, been able to really process that in a healthy way. And so he's coped with it. He's learned to cope with it. And one of it is outbursts, right? I'm gonna just say whatever I feel, no matter how it impacts my family, my partner, my children, because that's just how I deal with when I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Crescens, I know you got some comments on this subject.
Um, you know, I, I told you guys before that I feel like some of this is publicity. He had something happen recently. I see things, I don't really read into it too much. I did see something where I guess he launched a platform and he made some money off of it. But besides that, he has a series. I don't know if it's a documentary or a series on Netflix where it kind of talks about the beginning stages for him. And if you even look at his mannerisms and his face way back then, something was going on with him. He was
Mhm.
fighting to prove himself for a long time. He was fighting for
Mhm.
acceptance. And the only person that he had that didn't betray him and gave him that acceptance and gave him that comfort was his mother. I
Mhm.
think the gentleman No ID had did a diss record against him. He was like, we were just cool. How could you do this? And you could see in his face,
Right.
almost like a little boy, he was so disappointed. So to already be struggling with that before you hit it big, and then when you hit it big, you have these rappers, these big time people have these egos, and you're just a small suburban kid continuing to have to kind of prove yourself that you're good enough for them and not fitting in. You're always fighting for that, right? And then the person that helps you fit in, the person that helps you feel comfortable, you lose that person. And
Mhm.
then the next person after your mama is your wife. And now you're losing your wife. It's almost like he's
Mhm.
grasping at straws any way possible to feel that love, right? If we think about
Mhm.
Freud, not Freud, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety and security is a basic need,
Right.
and he's fighting
Yes.
for a basic
Yes.
need. I am not by any means excusing his behavior, right?
Right.
But there's a level of understanding we have to give this man.
Right.
But at the other side of it as well, we have women who like this kind of behavior and think it's healthy, right? Oh, I broke up with him. He ain't do nothing. He's boring. He's this, he's that. We have to think about the toxicity and the level of toxicity regarding his behavior and what he's doing. And when do we say no? And when do we say yes? When do we
Right.
say this is not okay? And when do we say this is an action of love and affection? We have to understand the difference between the two. We're not in their bedroom, we're not in their conversations, we don't know what's
Right.
going on. But I also know that his behavior has now run somebody off of social media. So now it's turned into bullying. So, yes, there's a lot of things underneath there for
Right.
Kanye, but he's got to find a way to grab a hold of it because you are a grown adult and you're responsible for your own healing.
Yes.
And trauma is not an excuse for bad behavior.
That is true.
Right.
Mm.
Right. And
Mm.
that's a good point because we, especially as therapists, when we are working with folks and especially couples, right? And so when there's been a traumatic situation that one partner has gone through, and they're like, well, I went through this, my mama died, so I'm mistreating you. I experienced this, so I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm going to curse you out. I'm going to betray you in different ways. And, sometimes people that experience traumatic event have a tendency to use that as a reason for some of their behaviors. And so there's a big difference between behavioral changes,
Mm.
behavior choices, and actual mental illness. And I think I
Mm.
spend so much of my time in practice explaining the difference to couples specifically what's actually related to their mental illness and what's just their personality, right? And what's just how they are and how they operate and how their baseline of how they intertwine with their partner. And so, regardless of how we feel about Kanye, whether you like him or not, the partnership took two people to destroy, right? There was
Mhm.
an understanding and acceptance on both parts.
Yeah.
And everything was good until it wasn't, right?
Right.
And those same behaviors he had in the beginning, he has now, but now it's looked upon as toxic because we're no longer together. So
Mm.
they each play a role in the unraveling of the relationship and the
Absolutely.
outbursts. Because I would if I was a betting woman, I would say this has been ongoing from day one,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
People
Mhm.
don't change their personalities, right?
Mm-mm.
So they definitely got some work to do, and it just gives us the viewing public an idea of what couples deal with when you're trying to go through a breakup, right? I mean, they're celebrities, so everybody's in their business, everybody's prying and going through their trash and following them around, but regular Joe Smo and Jane going through
Right.
very similar situations that are not in the spotlight, and the emotions are raw and real for everybody. And so that's
Absolutely.
why I wanted to really us to really look at it from a mental health perspective. We wish them the best. We hope they work through it because they have children and they will probably be in they will be in each other's life for the rest of their life. But they definitely got some work to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Preston, would you sign them up for your services, for counseling services, girl? Would you go
Oh
into
no. Mm-mm.
Tanya Kim, if you're listening, there's 3 therapists right here. It's probably gonna take all 3 of us to work through it.
Not I, said this cat. Not this cat.
Listen, I always say all money, not good money, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes. That's right. That's
That
right.
would be a lot. You know what? Come on through, because listen, we're gonna fight it out because you gonna change some things if you're working with me. So,
They be the ones emailing and calling you after hours. You have to remind
Uh-huh.
them what your
Right.
emergency hours
Right.
is, and that's a liability. I'm good.
Exactly. Because like
right.
you said, he seemed like the type that doesn't have boundaries because of the wealth that he has obtained. So he think everything's accessible. And so it'd be like, no, Kanye, you cannot call me after 9 o'clock.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which brings us to our topic tonight, which is how to love somebody with a mental illness. This is a perfect segue into the topic because so many of us are in relationships with folks that are suffering from a mental illness. And sometimes it gets pretty difficult trying to navigate this love that we feel and some of the challenges that come with dating somebody that has a mental illness. And so before we get into it, listen, viewers, do us a favor, hit subscribe, like, share this episode. We do this as a labor of love for you. We are committed to helping Black women to heal. And so we need you as a part of this process by sharing the message, because even if it's not you that's experiencing the topic that we're talking about, I guarantee you somebody in your circle is. And so you can get the information and share with them and be an encouraging person if your friend, family member is going through it. All right, so we're going to be talking about how to love someone with a mental illness, and that's pretty heavy, right? So what do you recommend for couples, partners, Shantoya, where one partner is dealing with a mental illness?
Whew. I say this here, which is important. You got to know your partner. And unfortunately, there was some telltale signs before decided to become committed to this person, that
Right.
there was something there different. Because, like, compared to other relationships, something's different here. Mannerism, way you problem solve, like you said, behavior, outbursts,
Right.
easily angered when things doesn't go in his or her way, because it could go both ways. So yeah, I think first we got to really be honest. Say, okay, I did sign up for this. Because, like you said, sometimes, Dr. Radisha, what happens is a couple, they'll come in and say, oh, well, I didn't know he was like that. Oh, I didn't know she was like that. And I'm like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. But sometimes we get so mesmerized by the outer appearances. We get
Yeah.
so caught up with
Right.
that. We forget,
Mhm.
okay, there's some other, components to this person. There's some other, areas about this person that makes me question, their mental, stability. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think first there got to be some acceptance that, okay, I did realize and recognize that there was something there, and I did sign up for this. So I
Right.
think that's important for both parties to say, okay, yes, I did sign up and accept this.
Right, right. You absolutely right. It look all good in the beginning. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, and then when things start popping off, then it's like, well, I didn't know. Well, yeah, you did, right? So your advice to women is to get to know your partner before you
Yes.
commit, because you got to figure out if this is something you can carry, right? Because here's the thing: mental illness, regardless if it's just one partner, both partners, it's a family illness. It's not just that
Yes.
person. You're going to be affected by it. So you got to understand and know what your baggage is, and if you're able to carry the baggage associated with the mental illness. Crescent, what do you recommend to couples and how to manage the relationship given one partner has a mental illness?
I think one of the first things you need to do when loving somebody with mental illness is asking them how they want to be loved. Not going in trying to be their therapist, trying to be their doctor, just looking at them for who they are and providing them with some common humanity and understanding that all of us go through something in our lives, right? We may not all go through something that's significant enough to give us that DSM diagnoses, but
Right.
we all are going to struggle with something at some point. And putting yourself in their shoes, ask them, how can I love you? How can I support you? And understand that that may change, especially if you're in a marriage. Our shoe sizes sometimes change, our dress
Right.
sizes change,
Yes.
our
Yes.
Right.
likes and dislikes change. So you may
Correct.
ask your husband or your wife last January what they like, and then today they may like something different. Asking and having communication. How can I serve you? How can I love you? How can I support you in this time? What do you need from me?
Right. That's some good information because, a lot of times the person experiencing the mental illness, there's a lot of shame associated with it,
Yeah.
right? We still
Yes.
have this obstacle we have to overcome with mental illness and these disbeliefs out there. And so there's a lot of shame. So sometimes there's a hesitancy to talk about, hey, I'm struggling with depression. And when I'm depressed, this is what it looks like. I may not get out of the bed. I may have anger outbursts. I may not eat for days. I may have suicidal thoughts. And so, one of the things that I recommend to my couples all the time is to have the conversation, to just be vulnerable, because your partner won't know how to show up for you, like you mentioned, Crescens, asking about how to love you. They won't know how to show up for you if you're not telling them what it is that you need, because mental illness is such a wide variety. You can have mild depression or you can have major depression, right?
Yes.
You can have mild anxiety, you can have major anxiety. And
Yes.
so there's such a wide array of symptoms and diagnosis. It's really important that you ask the questions, like you mentioned, Crescens and Shantoya, and have the conversation. This is what it looks like on the bad days, right? Everybody like the good days. The good days, we popping and locking, we going out to dinner, we having a good time. But what does it look like on the bad days? And can
Yes.
you, as my partner, handle that? We need to talk about that up front. Just like you asking about what job they got, how much money
Yes.
they got, where they live, are they seeing anybody else? Are you struggling with a mental illness? There has to be a routine part of this conversation so that you know and you can decide if that's something you can handle.
Yeah.
For in fairness to you and in fairness to your partner. Right.
It makes me think of that New Edition song, Can You Stay in the Rain?
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Right.
That's a
Right.
classic.
Right. Because sometimes people get in there and be like, yeah, I'm good with the rain. And then when the rain starts, they'll be like, I'm out. Right. And then it's, 2, 3, 5 years into it. And then you leave
Right.
a level of betrayal and devastation in your path. Right. And
Yeah.
so it is so really important. I promise you, half of the couples I see, that's a major issue in the relationship, is that one partner had these symptoms that they had and forever, and the other partner was cool with it in the beginning, but now it's a few years down the road, they're like, well, I didn't know it would be this bad, and now they trying to find the exit strategy, right? And so life changes, like you mentioned, shoe size changes, and so does the mental health condition. It could be mild today and major in a year or two. It could be major today and it could be mild in a year or two. So just keep that in mind as you decide on, if that's a good partner, and if you're game for it. So with that in mind, what are some things that can hurt the relationship? And so like what are some things they shouldn't say and shouldn't do in the relationship?
Mm. Don't call your partner crazy.
Right.
Right.
Please don't do that.
Oh,
Please
Don't
don't do that.
don't don't
Because
call
they
your
got depression. They not crazy. Look, stop.
yeah.
We have to be mindful with the words that we use because words hold weight, right? We have
Right.
to be mindful. Your mama said if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Being mindful with your words, but it
Right.
doesn't mean that you're giving them a sense of grace where you're excusing things. You want to hold them accountable. But if you're using these words that have negative connotations, that doesn't make the person want to speak to you even more, right? Mental health already has a stigma associated around it. So if my safe space is sitting here using these words that have negative connotations, This is no longer a safe space. Where do I go? Then I'm going
Right.
to recluse and turn inwards, and I'm going to internalize these things a lot more. And when you're struggling with mental illness, internalizing things is not a good thing at all. That'll make you struggle even more. Using non judgmental words, using a non judgmental tone, but also being honest about where your bandwidth is, right? You know what? I'm at an 8 today and I love you, but today I can't. Maybe
Right.
tomorrow I can. And that's okay. That's okay.
Right.
Very good.
Absolutely. That is so true. I would say also to not blame them for everything going
No,
wrong in the relationship. If you wasn't
no.
depressed, we would be happy, right? If you
Yeah.
wasn't dealing with anxiety, we could be with my family right now. I think that should be off the table. It's just certain lines you don't want to cross in the relationship because it just hurts the person. Because that all that's going to do is make them feel even worse, right?
Right.
So if you're already struggling with depression and your partner is saying, if it wasn't for that depression, we would be XYZ, that's just going to make them more depressed. So it's going to work against you in terms of your goal and helping your partner to improve. So and stop blaming their illness on whatever is going on in your life, right? Chantel, what do you recommend they not do or say?
And stop sharing your personal information with other people. So
Yes.
don't be on the phone with your girlfriend like, girl, he don't went psycho in here. We got to be careful. He don't tore up
Right,
the house and everything. Because I mean, he's in the next room, he's hearing this information. So it's like, but dog, she's talking to her family and friends about me like I'm nothing. Like, you know, I'm a criminal or like I'm, need to be in an asylum. Like, you know,
Mhm.
that's hurtful. Like you said, our words hurt. So we gotta be careful when we're sharing information about our partners. So we can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Respect them. Respect them and what they're going through. Ask and say, are you comfortable with me sharing this information with my friends or my
right.
parents or your parents, your siblings? So I think that's important. You gotta be careful how we share information, especially about that person. I think that helps. That's gonna help, or it can break the relationship when you don't have those boundaries in place.
Right. And definitely do not put your partner's mental health condition on social media. Please don't do
Right.
that. That's violating their sense of security, right? And so treat it as if it's any other medical condition, just like they got diagnosed with cancer or
Right.
diabetes or some kind of injury. You wouldn't treat that differently than you would mental health. So treat it all the same because it's all a medical diagnosis. There's really no difference. It's just how we perceive it.
Correct.
And so that's how you will help the situation and help the relationship. Definitely. Those are really good informational things because we talk about things to do and keeping in mind things not to do that would hurt the relationship. So with that in mind, what are some tips in maintaining a healthy relationship when you have a partner suffering from a mental illness? Shantoy,
I
what do
think
you
like
think?
Shantoya, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead, Crescent. You go ahead.
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
like Shantoya was saying, having appropriate boundaries, right? Having appropriate boundaries and establishing those boundaries, making sure they're clear. Also, making sure that you are not trying to fix your partner. You're not the doctor, right?
Mm,
You want to learn what's going on with that partner, but you don't want to say, "Oh, I went and ordered a DSM off of Amazon and I got this book and this is what you should be doing." No, stay in your lane. Your lane is the partner and be supportive. While you
Right.
should educate yourself and learn things, also remember that even though somebody may have a depression diagnosis, everybody's treatment looks different. Everybody's depression looks different. You are not Mr. Fix It. You are not
mhm.
Fix It Felix. You can't go around here trying to fix your partner. Learn, understand, but have empathy with that partner. You are not the doctor, you are not the therapist, because then that comes off as judgmental. That comes off as you trying to put your own thoughts and feelings
Right.
into, what you trying to implement your own thought and process into what's going on with your partner. A boundary. So wrapping all that to say, a boundary. Establish what those boundaries are, right? I don't want you to talk about this with me, but I want you to talk about that with me. And you being the person that doesn't have mental illness, establishing your own boundaries with that person, right?
Mhm.
You know what? I know you went through a lot of trauma, and because I love you, it's hard for me to hear
Right.
this. So I can't hear you talk about this. Or when you do this, when you're having a hard time, this does this to me. Let's find a different way to go about it. Boundaries for both partners is essential.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good
Mhm.
tip, because we're focusing, we're talking about the person suffering from mental illness, but it's a family illness, so you both need to understand how much it's affecting you and when it's enough, right? So if you go in like I'm gonna save them, I'm gonna fix them, right? That's the worst way to go in. You need to have what your role is. I'm your partner, I'm your confidant, I'm your best friend, and refer them to a licensed therapist to really unpack the trauma. When you start to listen to all of that, it can really impact the relationship. Then you'll start feeling like a caretaker and not a partner. And that will kill
Mm.
the intimacy in the relationship. So that's really important. Shantoy,
Mhm.
what's a tip that you want to give folks?
Imma tell you, self-care is very important,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
for the partner,
Mhm.
and, especially the one that is not impacted by the mental health, but is impacted by the behavior. And, trying to find ways to keep things stable and calm, because that's a work. That's work.
Mhm.
And that's daily because you don't never when you get home, you don't know what the mood gonna be. You don't know what the trigger's gonna be to set that person off. So it's like you kind of walking sometimes on eggshells. And I've heard this before working a crisis line. I've had like couples calling, yelling, like, she's having an anxiety attack and I don't know what to do. I mean, they're just like it's like chaos.
Mhm.
So self-care is so important. Having a support group. And there are so many organizations out here
Right.
that can help and assist for those who, a family, the unit, as well as the couple. NAMI is a great place to go and search
Mhm.
because they have chapters for these support groups in your
Right.
local state. So NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Health, is a great place. Also, Facebook, you will be amazed on the different types of social groups that are available to be, like a
Mhm.
support. And so sometimes we need a community outside what is familiar because we need
Right.
someone who understands. Like, girl, I understand what you're going through because I had to deal
Yeah.
with Bob every night. I know what you're going through. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
you need that voice of reason to help you understand, and help you kind of, like you said, accept the things I can't change. So I think that's important. Self-care is important, but definitely also having a support group that you can be
Right.
a part of.
Right. That's some good advice. That's some good tips. And listen, if you are struggling in your relationship and considering seeing a therapist to help you navigate the relationship, to listen, we have some amazing therapists right in front of you, right? We have Crescence Campbell, Shantoya Chapman, and then myself, Dr. Radisha. I would encourage you to reach out to a licensed therapist. You can find out more information about these therapists by going to hellohealing.live. That's hellohealing.live. There's a link to their websites and their appointments, and to look up more information about their resources and what services they provide. There's also Therapy for Black Girls. It's a good website to check out to find a Black female therapist, and also Therapy for Black Men, because men also need support in this. They need to be able to process this. They need therapists as well. And so listen, go ahead and take advantage of the resource. The most important thing that you need to hear is you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to suffer in the relationship alone trying to figure out why your partner acts like this or why you're feeling like this. Get help. There's no shame in getting help. And so I encourage you to reach out to one of our therapists to get started, or to look at one of the referral websites to find a therapist that best meets your need. And hey, and if this episode has been helpful to you in any way, listen, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell item, like it, and share it with other people, because I guarantee you there's someone in your sister circle that's
Mhm.
experiencing this. They may not feel emotionally safe sharing it with you, but they're going through it. Trust me, we see it all day, every day. And one of the biggest indicators of health and success for them is having that support team that Shantoya talked about, having those sisters that are non-judgmental, that understand what you're going through and that will listen. And so listen, you don't have to be a therapist to support a friend going through a rough situation. All right.
That's
All right,
right.
so we're gonna shift gears a little bit, and we're gonna spotlight a businesswoman. We love spotlighting Black business women around here. So tonight we're spotlighting Michelle Harper Mayweather. She is the CEO and founder of Jaja Chanel Retail Therapy with a Twist. Listen, we all like to shop, we like to feel good. She provides all these bracelets and necklaces and all of these things that she custom makes, earrings. They are beautiful pieces. Oh my gosh, they are amazing. Make sure you check her out on Instagram at JoJaBychelle. She's on Instagram at JoJaBychelle, which is Jaja by Shell. All right, make sure you check her out. Tell her we sent you over. Thank you so much for being a sponsor. We appreciate you and keep doing your thing, sis, because those are some amazing, beautiful pieces. I'm definitely going to check it out. Lord knows I'm shopping around here. Probably too much shop therapy. She said therapy, retail therapy. That's what she offering to the folks. Retail therapy. She is ready to take your money. All right, we're gonna go to my favorite segment. It is called Hey Therapist. What y'all talking about? This is where you able to ask us anything. Text it, put it in the comments, ask us any question, and you get the benefit of having 3 licensed therapists to give you a response. You can't get no better than that, sis, for free. All right, so go ahead and put your questions in, and we'll be more than happy to ask. Listen, there's not a lot free in therapy.
Listen, can we talk about that in one episode? I'm so tired of people telling me therapy should be free.
We gotta talk about the cost of therapy. Right. We definitely need to talk about that. Listen, we not getting rich around here, y'all, but we do it because of labor of love. But guess what? The light man, the cable man, the internet man all need their money.
Okay.
In that order. In that order.
So as much as we want to do everything free, we got to charge you something.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Drop your questions. Who got a question? Let's go ahead. Let's get to it. Come on, y'all. Don't be shy. We are live on Facebook. We have multiple mediums that Hello Healing is sent out to. We are on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. Now we're on Spotify. So it's multiple ways to get your healing.
Yes.
Listen, I think if nobody has a question, I'm going to just drop one in. One of the most common things that I get asked as a therapist is, what is therapy like? What is that experience like? So people that have never been to therapy, they have no idea. They think we do some magical spells to make things work. So you guys talk about what therapy is really like for folks that's never been to therapy.
Well, I think that first, each clinician has their own like modalities, their own style, their own way of, conversating with the individual, their own way of connecting. Because like you said, we all have like our own experiences, our backgrounds, cultural practices. We bring all that to the table. So, I tell people, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to listen, but I'm also here to hold you accountable. Because if you're going to start this journey and you want me to be a part of it, then there's some things that I must hold you, accountable to. And so, I try to ease people's mind, because like you said, when people come to you, you don't want to scare them off. You don't want to make the conversation too serious. So, I try to let them know that I'm here. I'm another sister girl. I'm still learning about life. I don't have all the answers. But guess what? Sometimes 2 heads is better than 1.
Right.
So let's come together. And I'm gonna tell you, it's so powerful, because when you have people that you connect with, like they be looking forward to your conversation. I even had like a male. Now, most of the males that come to me, they're very, very macho, like I'm here, hear me roar. And I remember one a client said, I told the guy on my job, he had said something to me inappropriate. And I said, you know what? You wait till I tell my therapist what you said. I was so honored. I said, "You shared that?" He said, "Yeah, because I told him he gonna be talking to me that way. Cause my therapist said that I am somebody." I said, "That's what I'm talking about."
No, that's right.
That's
I
So,
mean,
so it's
good.
just hearing that. That's to me. It's like, oh, that's why I'm here.
mhm. That's
I
why we
want
do the
to
work
make
we
this
do.
experience. Yeah, that's what I'm here
Mhm.
for.
All right, that sounds good. All right, Connie popped up a question. She said, "How should you tell them they may need help?" That's a really great question, Connie. Crescens, you want to take that? When you have a partner that needs some help, you see some things, you do believe they got a mental health condition, but they may not think they need help.
Hmm.
I think it's all about semantics, right? The words that we use. We want to take the judgmental words out and we want to just provide them with what we see happening. So not, yo, you over there blowing up and acting crazy. More so, you know what? When we were at the restaurant and they brought your salad out and you didn't have all the croutons that you asked for, you started to yell and get upset. And I'm wondering what that was about. Not that you're a therapist, because that's what we would say in therapy, right? Depending on what
Mhm.
relationship you have, because I might say to my client, what is going on with you? You're acting irrational
Right.
right now.
Right.
But being observant and sticking to the facts and pulling some of the emotion out of it. When you're fact based, you're able to communicate clearly
Right.
and concisely. When we communicate with our emotions, we're not always able to be as clear and concise. So, telling them what you're observing specifically, giving them examples. You blew up the other day. Well, what does that mean? I don't know what it means. What does blow up look like? When you came home and dinner wasn't ready, you kicked the dog, you punched me in the face, God forbid, and you started yelling. And
Right.
these things are things that I don't normally see you do. And I'm trying to figure out, it sounds like something's bothering you. Using what you're observing and giving it to them versus telling them, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, without giving observable behaviors, things that are actually um, quantifiable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's good. That's good. Shantori, what do you recommend?
Crescent was spot on what
Mhm.
she
Right.
recommended. I think like you said, just having that real conversation and say, hi, I really feel, dear, there's something, because sometimes it's our love language too that makes a
Yeah.
difference. And so it's like, dear, first, I'm just so grateful that you're in my life, and it's kind of like I'm preparing them for what I'm going to say. So I got to
Yeah.
make sure that I approach this so gentle, and I want them to know that how valuable they are and how they're an asset in my life. So because then if they're in a good place, then they could take the, message better. So I don't want to wait till they're yelling and screaming to
Right.
try to bring that type of information to them. So I think sometimes it's the timing.
Mm.
And I used to tell people that come to me for counseling, don't start with your spouse or bring something to their attention soon they walk in the door. Because
Yeah.
you're gonna get an
Right.
argument. So it's like I call it wait to pillow talk time. So you laying in the bed like, I want to talk to you about something, you know, because see that's when you got their attention. So
Right.
it's like, I want to talk to you about something. They're like, what? You want to talk about it now?
Nod their head a little bit. Nod their head now, y'all.
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh, yeah. I think this is something that's concerning, and I really
Right.
want to talk to you. And so that's when you got their attention, and they're like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I think
Mhm.
it's all about timing. So it's the
Right.
time and the place when you want to present that type of information to them.
Right. Here's one thing that I always recommend to one partner where the other partner may be resistant to therapy for whatever reason, because they're afraid, because they've never been, they think that something funny is going to happen. Here's what I say is you start therapy. You start therapy
Mhm.
for yourself, right? You
Mm,
start working on changing internally yourself, right? And
mm,
start working on your, because you're going to be affected by your partner's behavior, and having that safe place for you to unpack what's going on, what you're experiencing. And then once we've been working together, what we could do is to invite your partner to one of your sessions as a way to help you in the process. And listen,
mm.
once I get you in that room, I got you, right? I got you. So I make it real easy, and I can have the conversations about behaviors that you may be having that would be easier coming from me versus your partner.
Mm.
Me as the professional saying, hey, people that experience these issues sometimes are experiencing depression or sometimes experiencing anxiety. And here's what it could feel like. And here's what we would recommend. And here's the things that you would work on in therapy if you so chose to. And just giving them that introduction and an understanding of what the process looks like. And so they don't feel like something's wrong with them, like they're the issue, right? Because if you're the partner, there's a lot of emotion that's going to come with the issues. As soon as like you mentioned, Shantori, as soon as you walk in the door, you never do this, you're always angry, why you coming home late? They're not going to receive anything that you're sending, even if you're 100% right that they need some help, that they're experiencing anxiety or they're experiencing depression. And a lot of our men are experiencing depression and anxiety. Is one of the most underreported issues in our community with Black men. And they are usually atypical, meaning that the symptoms they present don't look like how women present, right?
Mhm.
They may have lots of anger, lots of outbursts. They may be extra quiet. They may be reserved, right? And so that's the other thing. You're not going to have that information, but a licensed therapist is. So stay in your lane as a partner, be supportive, get help for yourself, and then introduce them to a licensed therapist as you're getting help and improving. And say, hey, you know what? I went to therapy and there's some insight that I found that I didn't even realize I was doing or things I was holding on to, and give them a map versus saying you're the problem and you need to go. It's a different technique, but I use it all the time. Listen, I get you in there. Once I got you in there, that's it. Listen, got you. That's it. We gonna get you some help, right? So men need to heal, women need to heal, we all need to heal, right? This is a journey for all of us for sure. Speaking of journeys, listen, we are looking for 10 amazing women to be founding members of Hello Healing Podcast. There's some special things we will be doing with those women. If you're interested, head on over to hellohealing.live. Send us an email, and our producer, Natalie, the amazing, what we call her, will get back with you. So if you're interested in becoming a Hello Healing founding member, helping to support women in their healing journey, make sure you come on over to hellohealing.live, send us an email, and we will contact you and get you in the crew with us, right? We're looking for some amazing women to be down with us. Listen, once you get in the crew, you might be like, Lord, it's
be gang out here.
Look, action happens pre and post live. When it really goes down, you will be included in those. So make sure if you're interested, you don't have to be a therapist. We just want women that are interested in supporting other women. That's all you need to do is have that. Be a woman interested in supporting other women. Make sure you send us an email, hellohealing.live. We would love for you to be a founding member of our podcast for sure. Yes. All right, ladies. This time goes by so fast. I have enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. It's good.
What we want to tell you is no matter what you're going through, no matter what your story is, it is never too late for healing. Listen, you deserve it. You deserve it, sis. You have worked hard enough. You've carried a lot of people's burden. It is time for you to find healing for yourself. All right. Until next week, take care. We love you.
Bye.